Hello and welcome to Wednesday evening yoga. This is our gentle yoga practice and it occurs at the end of the day, so this is your opportunity to slow it down, to breathe a little bit, to pay a little bit more attention to your body, and to take the stretching and strengthening postures that would feel really nice for you this evening. So if you would create your space in your home or your yard or your room or your yoga studio. And I've got my yoga mat behind me, but you don't actually even really need a mat. You can do this on the floor. You can do this outside at the beach, anything like that. Anywhere that you can create some space, that you can breathe, that you can disconnect from the comings and goings of your regular life. I do, however, recommend that you invest in some sort of a block, like a yoga block, or if you have a couch cushion, like a small couch pillow that's handy, that works too. Or you could roll up a towel or something like that, something that could be used as a bolster, because particularly for these evening gentle yoga practices, a block can really come in handy for supporting yourself in some of the stretches and poses, and also for using in a supported back bend, which is how we are going to begin our practice this evening. So if you are new to this method of beginning your practice, I'll talk you through it. You have your mat, you have your block, or like I said, a pillow or a rolled up couch cushion or something like that. You'll be lying down over this block, and so you'll be using it to support your upper back, particularly into a gentle back bend, a chest opener, a heart opener. And so I like to set it up here. I'll turn around so you can see. I like to set it up so that the top edge of the block is right in line with my shoulder blades. So I don't have it up here by my neck. I have it down low so that the upper edge is in line with my shoulder blades. And the reason for that, and by the way, it's the long way, vertical, parallel with my spine. And the reason for that is so that as I lie down over the block, the shoulders can relax toward the earth, and it creates some upward pressure on my shoulder blades, my upper mid back, so that I can really start to lean into this back bend here, which is oh so nice here at the end of the day. In all likelihood, you've been sitting, slouching a little bit, probably rolling your shoulders forward over a laptop, maybe even hunching letting your neck, your head drag forward and put pressure on the neck. And so any amount of time that you can spend in the opposite of that shape is a really good way to unwind some of that tension that you may have collected over the course of the day. And so we're going to hang out here for a few breaths. This is a great opportunity for you to scan the body, and just because you are still doesn't mean you aren't making little adjustments. So maybe start to find some more comfortable postures with your feet, your toes, your hands, your wrists. Kind of work your way into an even more restful pose than you were in a minute ago. So in our evening gentle yoga practice, I like to incorporate just enough breath and movement so that we build some heat in the body, in the joints, the muscles. And then with that heat, once we are warm, we might spend some time on longer stretches, longer holds. The focus and intention of this practice is not so much to build endurance or build strength or even necessarily to build flexibility, but really truly to unwind the tension of the day, to prepare the body for sleep, perhaps, prepare the body for a more relaxing evening. And also perhaps to serve as a transition point from the demands of your life into a more relaxing headspace and body awareness. So that's the idea here. That's where we're going. And so to that end, if you would, take it through a few long, slow breaths here on your mat. Notice the beginning, the middle, and the end of both the inhale and the exhale. Notice the connection point between the inhale and the exhale. Notice the pause between the two. The breath is truly the intersection point between the conscious and the unconscious, because there are many actions you can take throughout the day that are choices. Moving your limbs, what you eat, and then there are many actions that your body takes that are unconscious. Your beating heart, the processes of your organs. But then in the midpoint between the conscious and the unconscious is the breath. Because you both have control over the breath. You can hold your breath. You can breathe faster. But you also don't really have control over your breath, or you don't need to have control over your breath. Your body has been trained, is designed to breathe automatically for you without you needing to think about it. And when you think of the breath as the intersection between the conscious and the subconscious, or between the automatic and the manual, I guess. If you think of the breath as the intersection between those two things, then it's also a connecting point between what we are aware of and what we are unaware of. And so cultivating the breath is both a healthy activity to deepen the breath, to build quality, to build strength, but it's also a discipline of the mind to connect perhaps the physical with the spiritual. And so that's one of the things that makes a yoga practice so meaningful for so many people, is that it's not just about your joints and your muscles, but it's also about your breath. All right, if you are ready, if you haven't done this yet, go ahead and slip that bolster or that block out from underneath your back. And just set it off to the side. We might come back to it. We probably will. And just here on your back with your arms, you could have your arms out by your sides. You could goal post your arms. You could have them resting on your belly. Just take a shape that's comfortable with your arms. Now go ahead and with your feet, step your feet pretty wide on the mat and bend the knees. So walk the feet back toward the hips. And we're just going to start by pinwheeling the knees. So dropping the knees off to the right, to the left. Just kind of starting to work the femur heads in the hip sockets there. Connecting the hip flexors, the low back. Starting to introduce some range of motion here, internally and externally rotating the hips. Nice and easy. And stay with that long, slow breath. And now go ahead and hug both knees to the chest. And grabbing hold of the knees with your hands, so you're supporting your legs with your hands. Start to draw some little knee circles here. So feel the stretch come into your inner thighs. Mobilize the knees. You don't have to move them in the same direction or at the same time. You just kind of start to roll them out. Take any little stretches, little shapes that feel really nice for you this evening. And you might even, if it's comfortable for you and if you've got the flexibility already in your hips, pull the knees wide and reach for your big toes. So grab hold of the big toes and just gently roll side to side. This is called happy baby. If you've ever seen a baby do this pose, you'll understand why. Roll side to side. And breathe into your inner thighs here, your hips. This might feel like something of a hip stretch already, and if so, then go ahead and just stay here. Or if you want to kind of start to introduce a little bit of movement with your feet, you might try kicking one foot straight, the other leg straight, kind of starting to bring the stretch into your hamstrings, only if this is well within the limits of what's comfortable for you here in the beginning of your practice. We're not super warm yet. And so we're just mobilizing within what's comfortable for us today at this particular moment. All right, go ahead and release the toes and start to, if it's comfortable for you, roll up and down the length of the spine, up to the neck, down to the tailbone, up to the neck, down to the tailbone. And when you're ready, roll up to a seated position. Seated position, whatever that looks like for you today. I am cross-legged, but this is also another application of your block. You can sit on the block, or you can sit on a couch cushion or a pillow or something like that. If you slip the block underneath your hips, then it elevates your hips above the level of your knees and takes a little bit of the pressure off your hip flexors there. So you've got options. All right, so find a comfortable seated position for yourself. We're going to start to move with breath here. We're going to move our arms with our breath. So all together, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead, reach. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale to heart center. All right, now we're going to take our exhales side to side. So inhale, arms overhead. And on the exhale, plant the right hand alongside the right hip and reach up and over to the right. Nice long side stretch down the whole left side. Inhale, bring it back to center. Exhale, up and over to the left. Nice long side stretch down the whole right side. Inhale, back to center. We're going to keep going right to left. Exhale, up and over to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, up and over to the left. Keep going on your own time, on your own pace, bringing the inhale to center and the exhale into a side bend. And as you do, as you're starting to open up the side waist and the spaces between the ribs, I want you to think about drawing your shoulder, your upper shoulder, back toward the wall behind you, such that you can maybe peek up toward the sky underneath your arm. So we're finding a little bit of openness here. It's not a twist. It's mostly just keeping your body balanced in this lateral plane. It's keeping your body from collapsing forward, from twisting forward. Inhale. And exhale. And bring it back to center. You don't have to move the block out from under you. I'm just going to because it's a little bit more comfortable for me to be seated on the ground. Okay, so what I want you to do next, set your hands on your knees. And now I want you to cross your hands on your knees. Okay. You don't need to mirror me because you might get confused if you mirror me. So what you're going to do is look down at your arms and pick the arm that is closest to your body. Okay, so the elbow that is closest to your body, and wiggle those fingers of the elbow that's closest to your body. So now what you're going to do is you're going to pick that hand up, and you're going to reach it around behind you, maybe even look at the wall behind you, and take a big sweeping circle, reach the fingers toward the sky, and as you exhale, close it back down on your knee. Okay, now the other hand is closer to your body. Pick the other hand up, and on the inhale, reach it behind you, reach for the sky, gaze goes up, and as you exhale, start to close the hand down. All right, take this nice and slow. If you've ever done swimming, if you've ever done like lap swimming, think of this as big freestyle swimming movements, big circles with the arm. We're just mobilizing the arm in the shoulder socket here. Inhale as you bring it toward the sky, and exhale as you close it back down onto your knee. So this is kind of a nice organic full range of motion here, and so customize this for yourself. If you find that there is a particular point that may be a little bit sticky, something that feels like you could really lean into that stretch for a moment, hang out there for a little bit. So we're warming this full range of motion with the shoulders, but we're also kind of identifying places in our body that maybe hurt so good right here at the end of the day. Remember to connect your breath to this movement. Inhale as you sweep it up toward the sky. Exhale as you close it down. All right, now come on back to seated. You can uncross your arms. Now lightly rest your hands on your knees. And we're going to take it through a few rounds of a seated cat-cow. So we did some side-to-side movement with our spine, and then we did some rotating movement with our spine, and now we're going to take forward-backward flexion. So we've done cat-cow and tabletop before, if you've ever been to my class, but now we're going to do a seated cat-cow, so it's very similar. So on the inhale, draw the sternum forward, gaze goes up, squeeze the shoulder blades together behind the back. Exhale, round the spine, tuck the chin to the chest, looking down at your navel. Inhale, draw the sternum forward, gaze goes up, drop the head back, shoulders roll down and back. Exhale to round the spine, sliding the shoulder blades back behind you. All right, take it away on your own time, on your own breath. Forward, backward, seated cat-cow. Inhale for the back bend, and exhale to round. All right, now come back to a neutral spine. Just for a moment, close your eyes, relax your hands, relax your shoulders, relax your hips, relax your belly, your knees, your ankles, your toes. Even relax your jaw. Just notice the sensations in your body. Notice the muscles and joints that you have woken up, if you will, during your last few moments of movement. Now is a great time to become aware of perhaps a sense of gratitude. Sense of gratitude for the circumstances in your life, the abilities that you have, the opportunities, the access, the ways you have been blessed. There's always something to think about. There's always something to be grateful for. All right, now if you would, bring the legs around behind you and bring it into tabletop. So with your shoulders over your wrists, your hips over your knees, we're going to get back into a little rotation movement for the upper back. So I want you to pick up your right hand. Inhale, reach the right fingertips up toward the sky, and your gaze goes up toward the hand. Exhale, right back down to the earth. Other side. Inhale, pick up the left arm, reach the left fingertips up. Exhale, back down to tabletop. Back to the right. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale to the left. Exhale, tabletop. One more time each side. Inhale to the right. Exhale. Inhale to the left. And exhale. All right, we're going to start to wake up our core by crossing the midline. So pick up the right leg, press the right heel back behind you. And you might even glance back at the leg. Make sure it's not floating up too much toward the sky, nor is it just dragging along the floor. You want to have it in line with your hip. Now pick up the left arm, reach the left fingertips forward, reach and extend. And on the exhale, see if you can tap the knee to your elbow. Move with control. Inhale to extend, reach. Exhale, knee to elbow, rounding the spine, squeezing all that breath out. Inhale, reach, extend, but maintain tension in the low belly. Exhale, knee to elbow, last time. Inhale, extend, reach. And on the exhale, back to tabletop. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Pick up the left leg, press the left heel back behind you, nice and strong with the hamstring, the quadricep. Pick up the right arm, reach the right fingertips forward. Check in with your spine here for a moment before you start moving. Can you, even though your arms and legs are extended, you also want to be able to draw a straight line from the crown of your head to your tailbone, right? And so if you're really slouching down in your belly, lift up on the belly by activating the low back here. Inhale to extend. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, reach, extend with control. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, reach. Knee to elbow. Inhale, reach. Tabletop on the exhale. All right, let's take it back to child's pose for a few breaths. Big toes touch, knees nice and wide. Settle the hips back toward the heels. And as you reach the arms forward, the forehead is on the mat. Child's pose. Think about really melting your sternum toward the earth here in child's pose. So this is a very gentle, very subtle back bend here with your forehead on the mat. Another variation you could take with child's pose, it kind of changes up the sensations a little bit, is to elevate your hands, or you could place the block underneath your forearms, is to elevate your forearms so that as you, even when you have your forehead on the mat, if the arms are elevated a little bit, you get just a little bit more attention in the upper back, a little bit more of a stretch back there between the shoulder blades. That's always an option for you anytime you've got a block handy. All right, so we're going to take it through a really gentle flow sequence that incorporates child's pose. So we're going to take it through a child's pose, tabletop, and a low cobra. So it goes something like this. So from child's pose, I want you to inhale, bring it forward to tabletop, and exhale, lower with control to the earth. So it's a reverse push-up with your knees down. Now bring your hands beneath your shoulders. Inhale, cobra, gaze is forward. And on the exhale, take it right back to child's pose. Okay, so we're going to take it through this flow sequence just to kind of start to warm the joints and muscles. The idea here is that you would find a position for your knees and your hands so that you don't have to move them as we move through this sequence. And so you might bring your knees a little bit closer together in child's pose than you otherwise would normally. But find positioning for your hands and your knees that are comfortable through all three of these movements. All right, inhale, forward to tabletop. Exhale, reverse push-up, bend the elbows. Inhale, cobra, gaze is forward, neck is long. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, with control, reverse push-up. Inhale, cobra. Peel the chest and shoulders off the mat so you're not using the strength of your arms to press off the mat. You're using the muscles in your back. Exhale, child's pose. Let's take it through a few more on our own time, on our own pace. I'll take it all the way through one more sequence here, and we'll all meet again in child's pose. All right, walk the hands back up to a kneeling position here. We're not going to hang out here very long, I promise, because it's kind of uncomfortable, but this is called hero's pose. And so have your feet beneath your hips, have your knees together, and so just have a seat for a moment with the tops of your feet on the mat. A little bit of a stretch for the ankles, might also be a stretch for the quadriceps here. All right, now we're going to incorporate a little bit more work in the upper back here. So inhale, arms overhead, seal the palms together, squeeze the elbows toward the ears, nice and tall through the crown of the head. And now bend at the elbows and bring the hands behind the neck here. And as you do, squeeze the elbows toward one another. So we're really active in the upper back, starting to build flexibility in the shoulders. And now check in with your lower ribs. I know you can't necessarily see them, so you don't need to look down, but soften the lower ribs toward the earth here. And so don't borrow that flexibility from the upper back or from the ribs. The idea here is that we're building flexibility in the shoulders. Inhale, bring the arms overhead again. And on the exhale, walk it forward to tabletop. Nice. Okay, now curl the toes under and shift your body weight back onto the balls of the feet. Kind of feels nice as a counter stretch to sitting on the ankles just a moment ago. You might rock back and forth if that feels nice. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, straighten the legs, lift the hips. Take it back to your first downward facing dog of the day. And so maybe start by pedaling the feet right, left, press one heel, then the other into the earth. Downward facing dog. Okay, so while you're looking back at your feet, you want to have your heels hiding behind your toes, so your feet are parallel with each other. And then glance up at your hands. You want to have your hands shoulder width apart, elbows are straight. And the idea in downward facing dog is that you're making an upside down letter V with your body, so your tailbone is really super pointy toward the sky. All right, now glance up at your hands and take a lot of steps, little steps, to walk your feet forward to the top of the mat, coming into a forward fold. For this first forward fold, have a soft bend in the knees. So connect the belly with the thighs and then slip the hands into the elbows and just gently sway side to side. So we're just taking some of the body weight off the shoulders now. Even just spending a few moments in downward facing dog might have started to light up your shoulders. It is not easy to put body weight on your hands. We don't do it very much over the course of our normal Western life. So even just a few moments there can start to be taxing. All right, release the hands, bring the hands to the shins, and on the inhale, straighten the legs, lift the hips, or not lift the hips, lift the shoulders, coming into a flat back. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms, reach for the sky. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. We're gonna take it through a couple nice and easy half sun salutations from the top of the mat. I'm gonna have my hands or my feet beneath my hips here just to create a little bit of stability from right to left. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen the crown of the head forward. Exhale, fold over the legs. Try to keep your knees as straight as possible as you fold. So we're waking up the hamstrings. Inhale, arms overhead, reach for the sky. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. 2 more half sun salutations with the breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. 1 more half sun salutation. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale to stand. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, we're going to start to wake up our balancing abilities here at the beginning of our practice. Nice and easy with just a glute stretch, right? So shift all of your body weight to your left leg, and then just pick up the right leg and just test it out for a moment. Make sure you feel okay standing on one leg. And if you're feeling pretty comfortable about that, reach your hands down and grab hold of that right knee and pull it towards your chest, kind of like you did at the beginning of practice when you were lying down on your back and you were just hugging your knees to your chest. That's the idea here, except you're balancing. So a little insider tip for standing balancing poses is that if you have not spent much time balancing, first of all, it's just like a muscle. It gets better with time. And so, or it gets better with practice. And so a little tip that helps in the beginning is if you pick a point out in front of you that's not moving, something that you can look at, something that's not moving, fix your gaze on that. And you will notice that your wiggling and wobbling tends to decrease. Our eyes play a non-trivial role in our ability to balance, that's for sure. All right, go ahead and release the right leg down onto the earth. We're gonna do the other side. Shift all of your body weight to your right leg and then pick up the left knee. Same sort of thing, just check in with yourself for a moment. Make sure you can balance on your left leg. And by the way, or your right leg, by the way, you may be in a living room where you have a wall nearby that you can kind of like use for support, or a piece of furniture or something like that, or a countertop. You do you. Find, if it's helpful, if it would help you balance, find something that's nearby that you can reach a hand out, help yourself out. All right, now reach down, interlace your fingers around your left knee, and just pull it toward the chest here. And check back in with your breath. All right, now set it back down. Nice. Come on back to the top of the mat if you wandered. We're going to take it through a full sun salutation, just one, and then we're going to start to add some lunges. So inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen the crown of the head forward. Exhale, hands to the mat, step it back to plank and take it through a flow. So a flow is just lowering to the earth. Inhale for the back bend, and exhale for downward facing dog. 2 long, slow breaths in downward facing dog. At the end of that second breath, glance up at your hands. Walk your feet forward to the top of the mat, coming into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen the crown of the head forward. Exhale, fold over the legs, feeling the hamstrings stretch. Inhale, arms overhead, reach. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. All right, we're going to take it through another sun salutation, but we're going to build some lunges into it. All right, here we go. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen the crown of the head forward, flat back. Exhale, hands to the mat, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. All right, now go ahead and lower the knees to the earth. So coming back to tabletop. And now pick up your right foot and just step it forward outside the right pinky. Outside the right pinky. And now start to draw some little knee circles here. Breathe into that right inner thigh, that right outer hip. Also, depending on your level of flexibility and your anatomy, you might feel a little bit of a stretch in your left hip flexor, okay? So at the very top of your left hip, the leg that is back, you might feel a little stretch there. Keep drawing some little circles here, some little organic movements. And just for fun, we're going to take a couple little twists here. So plant the left hand beneath the left shoulder because it's about to be weight bearing. And now inhale, reach the right fingertips up toward the sky. And exhale, right back down. Inhale, open it up. Exhale, back down. One more time, inhale, open it up. And exhale, back down. Step the right foot back to tabletop. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Pick up the left leg, step it forward next to the left pinky, and start to just wiggle around in this low lunge. Draw some little knee circles. Notice where the stretch is at. All right, now same thing on this side. Plant the right hand beneath the right shoulder. Inhale, reach the left fingertips up toward the sky. Gaze goes up. Exhale, left hand back down. We'll do a few more of these. Inhale, open it up, reach. Exhale, close it down nice and slow. Inhale, open it up. Exhale, bring that left hand back beneath the left shoulder and step it back to tabletop. And just for a moment, we're going to hang out in child's pose for a few more breaths. So step the knees nice and wide, settle the hips back toward the heels, and as you reach the arms forward on the mat, settle the forehead toward the earth. Child's pose. All right, bring it back up to tabletop. Curl the toes under, take an inhale. And on the exhale, straighten the legs, lift the hips, take it back to downward facing dog. All right, inhale, lift the right leg. And on the exhale, step it through next to the right thumb this time. So not outside the right hand, we're inside the right hand, and we've got the ankle beneath the knee, beneath the shoulder. On the next inhale, come all the way up to standing into crescent lunge. So have a soft bend in the back knee, back heel is lifted. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, straighten the back, straighten the back leg, rotate the heel down toward the earth, bring it into warrior two. So glance down at your feet. Your front heel is in line with the arch of the back foot. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, circle the hands to the earth. Pause for a moment. Your left hand is beneath the left shoulder. So this is similar to the last twist that we did here, except on the last one, your back knee was down. And so it's up to you whether you keep the back leg energized or you could lower the back knee to the earth for a little bit of rest and a little bit of support. Either way, I want you to inhale, reach the right fingertips toward the sky. So we're back here in this twisted lunge. Except now that we've already done this once before, we might have a little bit more access, a little bit more flexibility in this rotation here. And so maybe if you want to give it a try, take that right hand and reach it around behind the low back, finding a half bind. And so reaching it behind the low back just kind of invites the shoulder into this twist and gets a little bit of a stretch in that right shoulder. And just as a reminder, if at any point your legs start to get tired, you can always lower that back knee to the earth, uncurl the back toes. Totally up to you. All right, inhale, unwind the right fingertips back up toward the sky. Exhale, hand to the earth, step it back to plank and take it through a flow, or you can skip it and we'll all meet in downward facing dog. Two long, slow breaths in downward facing dog. All right, inhale, lift the left leg any amount. Exhale, step it through next to the left thumb. Find your balance here. We're taking it up to crescent lunge. Have a soft bend in that back knee. Back heel is lifted. Then on the exhale, roll that back heel down toward the earth into Warrior Two. Gazes forward over the left fingertips now. Glance down at your feet for a moment. Your front heel is in line with the arch of the back foot. A little bit of a stretch in the inner thigh. Actually, inner thigh of both legs. Inner thigh of the back leg, inner thigh of the front leg. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, circle the hands to the earth. Pause for a moment. We're going to take that same twisted lunge on this side. So inhale, open the left fingertips up toward the sky. Gaze goes up if you've got your balance. Just as a reminder, you always have the option to lower the back knee to the earth for just a little bit of extra support, a little bit of stability. And just like on the other side, if it's accessible to you in your shoulder, try wrapping your left arm around the backside waist. And breathe. All right, inhale, unwind. Exhale, circle the hand to the earth, step it back to plank, take it through a flow, or you can skip it. We'll all meet in downward facing dog. All right, lower the knees to the earth. Now we're going to take it back to a nice rotation for the upper back from here in tabletop. I'm going to create a little bit of space for myself. Okay, so from tabletop, pick up the right arm. Inhale, reach the right fingertips up toward the sky. And this time on the exhale, you're going to reach it under and through toward the left edge of the mat. And then when you get there, settle your arm down onto the earth, your shoulder, the side of your face, down onto the earth. And so you're using the floor to kind of support yourself into a nice twist for the upper back. And then with the left hand, you could leave it where it is, or you could walk the left fingertips forward toward the front edge of the mat. Either way, do whatever you need to do to find a little extra level of relaxation in this pose. And so any of the fidgets, any of the little adjustments that would feel really nice, go ahead and go there. There's no rule that says you have to access a perfectly comfortable, fully formed pose or stretch in the very first 10 seconds of it. Even a longer hold is a dynamic, evolving process. All right, we're going to go ahead and slowly walk back up out of it with our hands. And then before just going into it on the other side, we are going to take it through a few rounds of cat-cow. So inhale as you draw the sternum forward, gaze goes up. Exhale to round the spine, tuck the chin to the chest. So we're just neutralizing here. A few rounds of cat-cow should feel really nice. Okay, other side. Pick up the left arm, inhale, reach the left fingertips up toward the sky. And on the exhale, thread the left arm under and through toward the right side of the mat. And then same thing, you could walk your right arm forward. And just like on the other side, any little adjustments that would make this pose a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more sustainable, a little bit more beneficial for you. Go ahead and go there. All right, go ahead and walk it back to tabletop. And go ahead and locate your block again, or whatever you are using as a block. And we're gonna take this child's pose variation that I think I mentioned at the beginning of our practice. We're gonna use this now that our upper back is probably a lot more mobile, a lot more warm than the beginning of our practice. This is a great opportunity to deepen the back bending dimension of child's pose. So go ahead and set the block. I'm going the low way. Set the block a little bit in front of where your head would go, and then situate it so that you can rest your forearms on the block, and then with your forearms elevated, settle your forehead down onto the mat. And allow your sternum to melt toward the earth. And if that just totally doesn't feel like enough of a stretch, then you can, if you have a block, you can put the block on the next higher setting. So even though this doesn't necessarily feel much like a back bend, it is capturing one of the elements of a back bend, and that is a chest opener. So it's like a back bend for just the upper back. So you can give your hip flexors, your low back a little bit of a break and just work on the flexibility. Benefits the upper back here. All right, we're going to walk back up out of it. And since we did a back bend, we're going to do a forward fold now. But it's going to be a fun forward fold. We're going to do a wide leg forward fold. I don't do these very much. I don't know why though, they're awesome. So go ahead and have a seat on your mat and put any amount of space between your legs. The idea here is that your knees are straight and your toes are pointing up toward the sky, right? It's not about internally rotating the legs. You want to have the Knees and the toes pointing toward the sky. All right, we are going to fold forward in between the feet, the legs, but don't worry too much about just flopping down and touching your nose to the earth. I've been practicing yoga for 15 years and I still can't do that. So I'm going to use the block actually as a little support for my hands. I'm just going to walk the block forward, forward, forward until I feel enough of a stretch in my inner thighs. You see how upright my torso still is? I am not, the goal of this is not about necessarily burying your face on the ground. It's really just about getting a nice stretch in the inner thighs. And the way you know if you've gone far enough in a stretch is if it is challenging, right? If it is demanding, but also if after a few moments and after a few breaths, you find that you are quite comfortable. And in that moment, you can put 1 more millimeter of intensity into the stretch. All right, and let's slowly walk back up to seated. And any way that's comfortable for you, bring the legs together. And just for a moment, maybe give them a little shake, a little rotation to the right, to the left. Let's do a reclined figure 4. Reclined figure 4. So, back on your mat. Go ahead and roll back onto your back and then cross the right ankle over the left knee. And then you're going to reach through that window, that triangle you created between your 2 legs, and then grab hold of the back of the knee and pull it towards your face. You should start to feel a little bit of a stretch in the outer hip and the glute. If you don't feel it, think intentionally about pressing that right knee away from your face, right? Because this stretch relies on the push-pull. You are pulling the foot towards your face, and then you are using your outer hip to press the knee away from your face. And then in that push-pull, in that rotation in the hip joint is where you get a nice stretch in your outer hip. All right, go ahead and release. And we'll switch sides, cross the left ankle over the right knee, and same thing. Pull the right knee toward the face as you intentionally rotate the left knee away from your face. All right, go ahead and release, and we'll close it out with one more um, happy baby, which is sometimes it's fun to revisit a pose from the beginning of your practice more toward the end so that you can kind of experience the differences, right? And it's not the pose that changed, it is you, it is your joints, your muscles, your comfort level in that pose. So pull the knees wide, grab hold of the big toes, and maybe just explore that newfound openness in the hips. Or if you want to try kicking one leg straight and then the other leg, we did that wide leg fold that probably opened up a little bit of flexibility in your inner thighs, maybe your hamstrings. Find this to be a great final stretch for the low back. Happy baby is also fun to just like play with a little bit because you can, there's all sorts of fun things you can do. Anything that you want to try, can't mess it up. All right, go ahead and slowly release the legs, release the knees to the earth, and make your way into a final resting pose, something that feels really nice for you today. All right, you might take some last little ankle rolls, wrist rolls. If you want to have the knees straight or bent, if you want to have the arms straight or bent. And by the way, a resting pose doesn't even have to be on your back. You could take a seated resting pose. But don't skip this part. I know it's tempting, especially since here we are on YouTube. I know it's tempting to say, like, okay, the practice is done, and then turn off the video. But studies show that taking a 3-minute resting break, 3 minutes, where you don't nap, you just lie down, close your eyes, you unplug from your devices for a moment, and you just breathe, and you just rest. It changes your productivity level for the rest of the day, and it changes the quality of your sleep too. And so this is an experience that is worth adding on to your yoga practice, and just one more thing you can do that is an act of self-care that is so essential. Shavasana. Slowly begin to reawaken the body, wiggle the fingers, the toes, roll out the wrists, the ankles. Reach the arms overhead toward the back, point the toes toward the front. Take a deep breath and a full body stretch. Fingers to toes, everything in between. And on the exhale, roll over to the right side. And when you are ready, press the floor away and make your way back up to a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like for you. Close your eyes when you get there. Lightly rest your hands on your knees. Notice the renewed sense of well-being in your joints, your muscles. Notice the quality, the length of the breath. And notice the sense of peace, the sense of ease, and the awareness that inhabits this time, this space. On the next inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through your practice. Have a beautiful evening. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I will be here on Wednesdays at 5:30 right here on YouTube. Also, I teach a power yoga class on Tuesdays at noon, and if you ever get tired of yoga, you can also join me for stairwell training on Thursdays at 10:30. All you need is access to stairs, and you can get a great bodyweight workout with me. I'll see you there.